Ireland's number 10, an iconic jersey.
Sexton waits, here it comes. It looks good. He likes it.
The people who've worn it have produced some of Irish rugby's biggest moments.
It's over by O'Gara! O'Gara has done it for Ireland!
The shirt has been passed down proudly through the generations. But there has been controversy and fierce rivalries.
Ollie Campbell with a drop goal, and Campbell has struck again.
Now to Tony Ward, he's having a go this time.
So what's it like to deal with the incredible highs and crushing lows of being an Ireland rugby number 10?
And Ireland are going to win. And there's the man of the moment, Eric Elwood.
It's an exclusive group with a compelling story. For many, the number 10 in rugby is the most important player on the pitch. They're the goal kicker, the playmaker, the master tactician, the heartbeat of the team. The shirt carries responsibility, respect, and prestige.
I think the heroes, the legends that have worn that number, it's a very, very special jersey. Maybe, I'm biased, the most special jersey in Irish rugby. That's the way I'd look upon it, because you're central to everything. You're the points accumulator. You've got to do the business game in, game out.
It's a huge privilege to wear the Irish number 10 jersey. The hard thing is you never know when you're going to pass it on. Often you get dropped, you get injured, so you want to make the most of it every opportunity you get.
Less than 50 players have ever earned the right to be called Ireland's number 10.
The great thing about playing in a number 10 shirt is you get your hands on the ball a lot, you're involved in the game a lot. And for me, that's what made it something that I wanted to do, and I never wore anything else.
David Humphreys made his name playing for club side Ulster. He helped them win the prestigious European Cup in 1999.
Taken by Coulter, lovely transfer. Here goes Humphreys. Has Ulster skipper's got the pace? Has he got the pace? He has got the pace.
There were so many moments during that year that stand out more than anything else throughout the course of my career. But that one game, the semi-final Stade Francais, will go down as probably the best game that I was involved in.
And Ulster had piled everybody to the near side of the field. Humphreys. Drop goal number 4 in the European Cup for Ulster skipper David Humphreys, and what a time to do it in the final.
But after lifting the famous trophy, Humphreys would very quickly endure the perils and pressure of being his country's number 10.
That week almost sums up sport, and it sums up how you can go from the highest point of your career in winning a European Cup with Ulster in Lansdowne Road to the following week, sitting in the same changing room. Probably one of the lowest points in my career, where I missed 3 or 4 kicks that day, but one in particular which would have given us a win, and it was a pretty easy kick, and to miss that, you know you're responsible for missing that kick and for losing the game.
This surely for the victory. Ireland 9, France 10, this is Humphreys. It's drifted to the right, it's drifted away, it's missed.
Even the very best kickers in the world, even the very best sportsmen in the world, have days where they're a little bit off, so it was a case then of bouncing back and knowing that at some stage in the future, you would have another opportunity to win another game. You probably couldn't have written the script that 12 months later, in a game that will always be remembered for Brian O'Driscoll's 3 tries.
It's a great pick-up. It could be a third. It's O'Driscoll again.
It's pretty cruel to think that David Humphreys had such an instrumental role in that victory in France in 2000, and yet I got the vast majority of plaudits.
Well, he'll not need reminding that last year he had a chance to win the match with a late penalty in the game, David Humphreys. He'll put that out of his mind, I trust. Here, he can give them the lead. He struck it perfectly. Is it straight enough? The flags are up. Humphreys this time is on target. The Irish on their feet in the crowd.
That was the opportunity that you'd wanted. You know, it was obviously a much better feeling 12 months on to see the ball going through the post and winning in Paris.
Trying to replace David Humphreys in his prime was Ronan O'Gara, affectionately nicknamed Rog. Their battle created great debate about who should wear the number 10 jersey.
You're looking at two competitors. It was either one starting and one kind of probably coming on if that guy isn't doing the job.
Rog was younger, ambitious, trying to make his mark. He was a wee bit more aggressive about what he wanted and what he needed.
O'Gara then, that's more like it.
David was low maintenance, which for a coach is brilliant because you don't have to worry about him. Just let him get on with his job and don't interfere him.
Ronan O'Gara watching on. And there's the man who's wearing his shirt.
It got heated at times. He wasn't going to go silently. He was never going to give you the jersey. He was dogged, determined. Everyone thinks he is a gentleman. He is a gentleman, but there's a ruthless side to him because he wouldn't be ruthless if he isn't the competitor he is.
There was a rivalry. Probably over time that grew into a friendship as well. As a number 10, you spend so much time out in the pitch, kicking, doing the extra skills. You know, both of us. But Ronan, very proud Munsterman, I'm very proud Ulsterman. But I knew that for Ireland to be successful, the number 10, whether it was me, whether it was Ronan, the number 10 had to play well.
But Humphreys versus O'Gara wasn't the most famous Ireland number 10 rivalry. That came 2 decades previous.
Campbell immaculately struck. Oh, what about that? Really just a tonic for Ireland.
Tony Ward. Need I say more?
I'm quite a shy person by dint of personality, and yet when I got between the white lines and onto the pitch, from somewhere I got this hidden confidence.
The switch back by Slattery. Ward again to the open side. What a lovely dummy. Ward still. The link beautifully taken by Slattery. The try is there.
We were very different players. I was quite intuitive. I played off the cuff, and I genuinely at times didn't know what I was doing myself. Ollie could read a game like a book.
His forwards channel. Willie Duggan feeds. Now it's back to Ollie Campbell for the drop goal attempt. And it's there too.
I did play a handful of matches in the centre, even one at full back, and wasn't comfortable. Out half, number 10, it just felt comfortable.
Ball has to be played, and it is. Ireland have it. Ward, brilliant pickup. Looks for the overlap. Nicks could be on now.
The rivalry was healthy always between us, never bitter, even when it was at its absolute pomp.
And that was in 1979 when Campbell was controversially selected ahead of the inform Ward on Ireland's tour of Australia. The story made headline news back home.
I think the one that really struck out at me was the front page of the Irish press. And it was very simply, Ward out, Campbell in. But the sub-headline was the announcement that the Pope would be visiting Ireland the following September. And I think that probably sums up just how momentous a decision it was.
5 or 6 metres from the Australian line. Moskeen taps down. Patterson, Campbell, a drop at goal. He looks at it. It's not over, it is over. Ireland are in front.
Ollie played particularly well throughout the tour, therefore the decision to play 10 ahead of me was justified. Where I have a big problem, and I don't want to sound like a grumpy old man all these years on, because honestly that is not the way I am, but it was the way it was handled.
Patterson to Campbell, the drop at goal, it's high, it's over!
The communication out there was abysmal. If a player is dropped, he's got to be told why.
Tony Ward. And burst through, beats Reeve with the dummy. Ward through the blind.
And to this day, I don't know why it was dropped. But definitely the confident European Player of the Year that stepped on that plane going out never came back. I was never the same player.
By 1982, Ollie Campbell had made the number 10 shirt his own and was hoping to turn round Ireland's fortunes by defeating the other 3 home nations to win the Triple Crown.
Campbell dummying and clean through. Oh, what a marvellous effort. Mustin has got the try.
When we beat Wales, there was no talk of Triple Crowns, championships, Grand Slams. It was just the sheer relief that finally we had actually won a match.
McGrath, Campbell took it well.
2 weeks later, we're playing against England, and thanks to an unforgettable try from Ginger McLaughlin, we won 16-15.
But it's meant for Ollie Campbell, and right enough the drop goal, charged down there by Smith himself. Well, he redeemed himself, but it's Fitzgerald out to Campbell. Campbell inside to Slattery. Campbell again, taken on by Duggan. McLaughlin got there by Slemon, driving for the line. The referee has given the try.
I missed a kick against England, and when we arrived back on the Sunday, I went straight to Anglesey Road, and I kicked 100 kicks from the very spot. And between that day and the Scottish match, virtually every kick I kicked was from that very spot.
And so this is the kind of sight that opponents of Ireland have learned to dread over the last couple of seasons or so.
3 minutes in, penalty Ireland. Where is the penalty from? That exact spot.
Ollie Campbell stroked it well all the way.
That day made sense of all the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of place kicking practice that I had done in the previous 10 years.
Ollie Campbell, oh, it's a big kick. What a goal! Campbell, has he got it straight? Yes, he has. And Ireland have won a priceless ball again. Ollie Campbell with a drop goal, hooking it round. The arm is up, and Campbell has struck again.
That was a very special day in all our lives. Amazingly, it was the first Triple Crown that Ireland had won for 33 years.
Campbell then, bang, all the way.
It was only the 5th Triple Crown that Ireland had won in its whole history, and it was the first ever in Lansdowne Road.
The referee's whistle has gone for the end of the match.
It seemed after we won that day that the debate was over between myself and Tony. So about 3 months later, I was in Westport for the bank holiday weekend, and there was an elderly lady on the side of the road thumbing a lift. I picked her up. She was visiting a friend of hers in Castlebar. And in the course of our conversation, she said, "The only thing I don't understand about rugby is why Tony Ward is not on the Irish team." So that's... and it's been the same ever since.
In the late 1980s, the tenure of one of Ireland's number 10s was dogged with criticism. Australian Brian Smith was parachuted into the jersey by the then coach Jimmy Davison.
So Brian Smith, with 7 caps for Australia, and this is 9th for Ireland.
Jimmy Davidson's really the reason that I ended up getting the opportunity to play for Ireland. He found out that I had Irish heritage through my mother's side, a grandmother from Wexford, and then he saw me play against Ireland in the '87 World Cup, and then he saw me play a game for Australia in 1988 at number 10.
A lovely ball again for Saunders. Smith with the drop goal attempt. It's certainly high enough. The arm is raised. A lovely drop goal there by Brian Smith, and Ireland are in the lead.
In those days, this was a huge controversy, and a lot of people were asking questions, why is this fella playing for Ireland when not only is he not Irish, but he's played for another country?
Ralph Keyes had just made his Ireland debut as number 10, but his international career would be curtailed because of Smith's controversial selection.
Ralph Keyes with the conversion attempt from wide out. 9.5 minutes of the second half.
Irish trials were a big thing at that time, and I played in a few. Jimmy Davison came out of the dressing room looking around for something, and it happened to be me, and he said, "Ralph, great, what size boots have you?" I said, "Size 9. Fantastic. He said, Brian is after forgetting his boots in London. He too is a size 9. Could you give him your boots for the... I said, Jimmy, what if I have to come on after 5 minutes? It's an Irish trial. Like, it's important. And he said, we'll sort something. So I politely declined to offer my services and hand the boots over. But I was on the train home by 5 o'clock because I was cut from the squad for training the following day.
It's an Irish side who've trained assiduously for this match. They know the size of the mountain they have to climb.
Brian Smith made his first appearance for Ireland against New Zealand in 1989.
So the ground is cleared, and this big 53,000 crowd await the haka and listen to the response they're giving to it.
It was a hell of a match. Willie Anderson got a head of steam before the kick-off, and we were all linked arms. Willie clearly had a plan. He didn't share it with any of us, but we got there, and all the backs were sort of on the end of the line, and all the forwards were in the middle. And before we knew it, Willie starts marching forward, and the forwards, I have to say, were far more willing than the backs. I wasn't sure what was going on, but I think we gave a good account of ourselves.
When I look at the pictures of Brian Smith, he was probably going backwards. He was probably saying, what am I doing here amidst these mad Irishmen? It probably was a very sort of odd situation for him to be walking towards the haka, in Lansdowne Road, but it was one of the best atmospheres and feelings that I've ever played in, and the crowd were magnificent, but we won the dance, but we lost the match.
Saunders, Brian Smith, well, there's a great run by the Australian Irish international crossing.
The game was amateur, and I'd been away 3 years, and I was a little bit homesick, and there was an opportunity for me to join a rugby league club with my brother.
If his arrival had been a surprise, Smith's departure was a complete shock. Just 1 week after this, his final game for Ireland, he was playing professional rugby back in Australia.
It was a big call at the time. It wasn't ideal, but it was an opportunity, I guess, that I felt I had to take. And I was 24 or 25 years old. I was very well educated, but I had no money. And rugby league at that time provided, great opportunity.
Saunders again, beautiful pass off his left hand, a huge pass to Brian Smith, and Smith is beginning to dictate the course of the game here.
I regret the way that I left, but I didn't get a chance to talk to the boys. I got a fair bit of stick for that, and I understand that.
What's the drop goal, Brian Smith?
I made a selfish choice to leave Ireland and to come home, but I always had a little bit of regret in my heart for how I departed.
With Brian Smith gone, Ireland reverted to Ralph Keyes for the 1991 World Cup. The team reached the quarter-final against Australia.
To be playing in the first ever World Cup match in Lansdowne Road, it was a big, big occasion. It was a crazy day, really, because we were coming from Finstown House hotel base in Lucan, and the driver got stuck in traffic. With the result, we didn't get to the stadium until 40 minutes before kick-off. We were into the dressing room, quick look at the pitch, quickly togged off. We were in the match before you knew it.
From fullback, but they're going open. Drop goal, a chance there for Keyes. In off the post. My word, what drama. Gets it away to Keyes. Curtis in midfield. Up from fullback is Staples. Little kick in the space for Jack Clark. Clark gets the ball. Now he's got support. Charging through is Gordon Hamilton. Has he got the pace to get there, the big flanker? Yes! Lansdowne Road erupts then.
To make the line in the corner, we thought we'd never see Gordon again. I mean, the crowd nearly swallowed him whole in the dead ball area there, but it was a great try.
Keyes' conversion put Ireland on the verge of a semi-final place with just minutes to go.
That's a superb effort by Keyes.
They weren't rocked, really. They had the confidence and the history and the experience to come straight back and go for it.
Little to Campesi going for his hat-trick. Tackle short, Linus in there, Linus scores.
You felt, it was an opportunity missed. We had gone so close, so that was painful to fall short in that big match against Australia.
For much of the 1960s, Ireland's number 10 was a barrister from Belfast. Mike Gibson, revered by rugby fans the world over.
That's Mike Gibson's target then, as he seeks to put the Irish back into the lead and manages to do so. Mike Gibson raises Ireland's total to 9.
And it's Gibson, Mike Gibson onto it. The kick too far ahead of him, or is it? Mike Gibson has scored!
To me, he is the greatest player that played for Ireland. He had everything.
He's got it!
He could pass both ways, could kick with both feet, magnificent sidestep, and he was teak tough. He was built like a thick pipe cleaner, but boy, could he hit you.
Gibson's first game in the Ireland number 10 shirt was in 1964 against England. A special day.
My memory before the game was one of standing when the anthem was being played, and I looked up into the stand and I caught sight of my mother and my father and my wife-to-be, and my poor mother was white, absolutely white as a sheet, and I started to feel nerves at that point. I'd been absolutely at ease up until that moment.
That's a nice heel. Good strike by Ken Kennedy. Here goes Gibson coming in. Oh, I say, look at Gibson! My word.
Gibson was regarded by many as irreplaceable as Ireland's number 10. But Barry McGann managed to do it.
The best heel, McGann with a drop goal.
Mike Gibson was not available. He was injured, and eventually they picked me. And eventually they had to bring Mike Gibson back, and the saga was, where would we bring him back? I was a bit worried about my position for the next match, but ironically they brought Mike back in at centre.
Mike Gibson, he's over the 25, can Ripley catch him? It's a great try for Gibson.
Such was Gibson's talent, he went on to play in 3 other positions for Ireland.
Mike Gibson of Belfast, given the honour of leading out the Irish team as he becomes the most capped international of all time. This his 64th appearance in the emerald green shirt.
Every position in the field is important, but because so much ball was channeled through the number 10, then you had that added responsibility, because if I played badly, then it was going to be difficult for the team to win.
Mike Gibson then from about 25 metres. Straight and true.
At number 10, it's a strong, challenging, mental exercise.
Grace, an interception, out to Mike Gibson. Is he going to get his 3rd try of the match? Yes, he is. New Zealanders reckon this is the greatest player they've seen, and you get an indication of why.
It was a marvellous experience, because, as with every person who is selected to play international rugby, you have enormous feeling of pride in the number 10 jersey.
The Cork Constitution, fly half Barry McGann.
McGann was Ireland's number 10 in 1973 for a memorable game against the mighty New Zealand All Blacks, a team Ireland had never managed to defeat.
The 10-yard line. On the right side, this could be drama. This could be drama. Can he get there? Can he get there? The ball is dead, I think. It's a try. It's a try. Tommy Grace.
A late Tom Grace try set up an exciting finale. With the scores level, McGann had a chance to etch his name into the record books.
Everything there now resting on that boot of Barry McGann. Who'd be in his place?
Unfortunately, I missed the last kick of the game for a convert, for which we would have beaten the All Blacks the first time ever. To this day, I was sorry that they didn't have the 4th umpire that might have had a look at it, because I thought it was over, a lot of people. But it was a very windy day, and it was waved wide. That's the way it was. I always remember Tom Grace saying to me, he says, you know, he said, we'd be very famous, he says, if you kicked that convert. And I always respond to him, and I said, Tom, I said, if you picked it up and ran in under the post, I wouldn't have missed the thing.
And that's it, I think. The referee calling things to a halt.
It's just another kick. It's afterwards you become aware. 50 years later, are you the fellow who missed the kick against the All Blacks? Correct. So that's stop.
Lansdowne Road in Dublin, home of Irish rugby since 1878. Ireland were walking out to play their last ever game in the stadium. Paddy Wallace was about to play his first match in the Irish number 10 jersey.
I was a bit of a rugby nerd growing up. I remember going down as a child watching games. A great memory from the 91 World Cup. I was in the terrace where Gordon Hampton scored in the corner against Australia in the quarter-final. Charged the pitch, banged my head off the bar because we were sort of pitch side below the terrace. I think that was my first concussion from rugby.
And 128 years after they blew the whistle to start the first ever Rugby International at this venue, here is the whistle to start the last.
I knew when I got my first start, it was almost make or break for me, but it was overwhelmed by the pressure of the occasion as well.
Nice play from Wallace to Hickey, dances through, and it's not taken long.
I remember going out for the warm-up, and I couldn't hit a barn door. Wind was swirling, and my confidence was just at an all-time low, and still very nervous when I got that first shot at goal. Thankfully it went through, and the confidence just flew from there, and we played really well.
No O'Gara, no Humphreys, and it's this man, Paddy Wallace, who has been kicking in his time at Ulster with Humphreys. It's a fairly uncompromising challenge at the moment. It's Stringer to Wallace. Oh, yes! Oh, it's been a wonderful first half of Paddy Wallace.
Kicking went great, and I scored a try as well, and I had a try disallowed. My dad phoned me up the next week and said, by the way, if the ref had let that try go, you would have finished as scoring the most points in an Irish international by any player. So that would have been a nice record to take away, but 26 points will do. Being the last international at Lansdowne Road before they tore down the stands, you know, it had such an aura about it. It was a real old school stadium, and there was talk of maybe pinching a wee bit of memorabilia wherever they could. I think some of the guys actually cut out their section of the dressing room and maybe brought it home as a souvenir. There's an old sink, and there was a sign saying, do not wash your boots in these sinks. So I have that, framed it and put it up on my wall as a bit of a reminder.
Whilst Lansdowne Road was being redeveloped, the Ireland rugby team played its matches in Dublin's Croke Park. It was the first time a rival sport was granted permission to use the traditional home to Gaelic games. And one match in particular touched on deep emotions among the players.
I think the significance of the England game in Croke Park in '07 can't be understated. It wasn't just a sporting piece, it was a social piece.
It wasn't just a game of rugby, it had now spread out into the whole dialogue around the country.
A dispute raged over the playing of the English national anthem in a stadium where British security forces had shot and killed Irish civilians more than 80 years previous. A day of violence known as Bloody Sunday. There was palpable tension in the air for this historic occasion.
I think the respect shown on that day was a really powerful message sent to everyone in the world. There was intense pressure that week, I can remember it. Just that emotion, pride, responsibility of what an Irish rugby player needed to show for his people on our own turf, that was very important. There was a great bond between Irish supporters and the team, with England coming to town and so much at stake in the home of the GAA, which is very important as well in Irish history, that a big performance was needed.
This is a vital kick. Solid strike, great result. Well, as Croke Park gathers its breath, Ronan O'Gara adds the point. Ronan O'Gara to go past the 700-point mark in international rugby. And he's done that with ease.
There's nothing like the feeling of planning something in a game and it coming off. And Ronan has to turn and there's 70,000 people and millions watching. You've got to kick that ball to Shane Horgan's hands.
Referee thought about blowing the whistle. Here goes Leamy off the back of it. Those legs are pumping. O'Callaghan is in there as well. Now Stringer, O'Gara, little chip for the massive Horgan. He catches and he scores. Horgan does it again against England.
The quality of the kick, it was kind of paying homage to the fact that we were in Croke Park, and then to watch that happening, it just felt as though it was kind of a tip of the cap to everyone that had allowed us to play in Croke Park.
It is all over and Paddy Wallace will have the final say and he'll kick the ball into touch, and Ireland have broken all records against England.
To lose to England in the hallowed turf of Croke Park was inconceivable. So to win the way we did in a record score just was the icing on the cake.
What I admire most about the players that day is knowing the amount of pressure they were under, the amount of stress they were dealing with. It was just an incredible performance over 80 minutes. All that was hinging around the 10 who was running the show against one of the most iconic 10s in the world, Johnny Wilkinson. And I thought Ronan was superb that day.
I enjoyed being the centre of attention or the conductor of the orchestra. I could never play any other position, and being the selfish type, that suited me well.
Ronan O'Gara, what a competitor. He had so much confidence in himself to knock it over from anywhere, and it was almost like the further to the touchline, the more chance he had of knocking it over, because he loved it. His dedication and commitment to becoming a better player was always there, and when it came to game-changing moments, he always delivered.
O'Gara with one of his own. It's there!
I was brought up on David against Goliath. We're a small town nation against the big nations, but there comes a time when you have to park that and I think set your own goals and turn around history.
And history is exactly what Ronan O'Gara helped Ireland achieve in 2009.
O'Leary to O'Gara on the far side. Little dink out, a bit of space for Tommy Bowe to chase. Bowe gathers! Bowe gathers! Bowe gathers! Shane Williams is getting him. He's not going to get the Ulsterman. Bowe's in underneath the Welsh post.
Having beaten France, Italy, England and Scotland, Ireland then defeated Wales in dramatic fashion to win the Grand Slam. One of the biggest prizes in world rugby.
Stringer, O'Gara, back in the pocket for his drop goal attempt. Here he goes, O'Gara. He's done it!
I think it was probably a fulfilment of 10 years of hard work. No one playing the game knew what a Grand Slam for Ireland meant. It was only when we got over the line we realised we've achieved something. being the critic I am, like, the strike isn't good, the celebration isn't good. It's not. It's a little bit cringe, but like what it meant to Irish rugby, what it meant to me, is huge.
Ireland win the championship, the Triple Crown, and the Grand Slam.
It was Ireland's first Grand Slam victory in 61 years. And there to witness the momentous occasion was the number 10 from the 1948 Ireland team.
Meeting Jack Kyle after the game was really special. You realise that it's a pivotal moment in Irish rugby where it's a passing on of the baton from an icon of Irish rugby. And to be a part of that with a real legend of the game was lovely. And I knew it was a big moment. And I was pointing at photographers saying, I want a copy of that, please.
5 years after that famous photograph, Jack Kyle made his last public appearance at the home of Ulster Rugby. It was just a few months before his passing, aged 88.
It was a huge honour to wear the number 10 jersey. I mean, he never took it for granted, and I think one of the things that was particularly special to him was that rugby was an all-island game. He loved the fact that it was both north and south, and that a lot of the friends that he made were from the south of Ireland, and I think that made it even more special that he was representing the island of Ireland and the whole of Ireland.
Kyle was once voted Ireland's greatest ever rugby player and is the original number 10.
The ball goes to Captain Jack Kyle, who tries to break through England's defence.
You didn't see him kick too much, but he had a very, very deft touch with the foot. It was just the way he controlled, drew the opposition one way, and then he was able to chink the other way. You know, he just had the opposition chasing shadows at times. Just a superb all-round player.
The ball's out, Wood grabs it, but he's brought down, and now Mulligan passes it to his standoff Kyle.
Jack could do things that nobody else could do. Whatever Jack Kyle had, nobody else had. He had that ethereal, mystical, magical quality.
Back to Kyle, who makes a brilliant dash for the corner and scores. Ireland 11, France 3. Ireland try again. Veteran Jackie Kyle kicks away.
My dad always felt that he was born with this sort of ability to play rugby, but he then had to call that into play.
One of the phrases I like about those of us who were given a certain ability to achieve something in sport was that you're born with the nature, but you've got to have the opportunity. Now, nature distributes her gifts in many ways, and therefore when people sometimes praise you for your ability, you sort of say, this was inborn. I really didn't have to do an awful lot about it. I had to turn out. Sometimes I wonder, what would my life have been without rugby?
It was lovely actually to see that interview because rugby gave him so much more than he ever could have imagined, and he was hugely proud to be a part of the sport of rugby.
If Jack Kyle was a pioneer of the number 10 shirt, the Ireland women's team of the new millennium were game changers. They won the country's third ever Grand Slam title, with Nora Stapleton wearing the famous number 10.
To go through 2013 and to win the matches the way we did and kind of just change history. You know, up until then, we'd be getting hammered by England and hammered by France nearly every year, and to suddenly reverse that was huge.
Well, have Ireland managed to turn this over? Yes, they have, and it comes down to Muldoon, onto Cantwell. Cantwell, Stapleton over the 22. Oh, and it's a good break, and it's got outside to Alison Miller for her third try.
Certainly it was the year that kind of put women's rugby on the map, I think. Not only from a visibility point of view, but from young kids now seeing women's rugby and wanting to play rugby when they got older, and people of all ages coming up to you and talking about how much they just love the Irish women's rugby team. To do it in the number 10 jersey, playing for Ireland, I can't say it was a dream of mine growing up because I didn't know there was even an Irish women's rugby team. I didn't know that females got to wear a green jersey. Like, I was very much just not removed. I didn't have a TV growing up, so maybe I just didn't get to see any of that. But to then be able to represent your country is such a great honour.
Good afternoon, everybody. A very happy St. Patrick's Day to you. There is a wonderful atmosphere. There is so much at stake, and you can see on those faces the emotion of what this day means. All the pressure is on Ireland, but the Grand Slam is at stake.
The tying game conditions were awful. It was so bloody cold. I couldn't feel my fingers.
Muldoon feeds Neville, digs it out. Stapleton.
Towards the end of the first half, I realised that the tips of them were getting quite numb. And, you know, for anyone who has to pass the ball quite a lot and catch it and be able to handle it, if you can't feel your hands, it's so tough.
Players out wide. Here's Stapleton. Miller and David are there as well. The ball just doesn't go to hand, but Ireland...
So second half then, was just as cold, but it was always just a case of, right, what next? And how do we put them under pressure?
And it's there. And Ireland, in search of a Grand Slam, hit the front for the first time in this game.
Then, you know, you kick it out at the very end and just complete elation.
Stacey Lee Kennedy, and to the front they go, and Riley grabs hold of it, grasps hold of the opportunity, and Muldoon fires it to touch, and is that it? Yes, it is! Ireland are the Grand Slam champions.
I'm glad that I was part of that bit of history where we moved it from at one level to another level, and then as a 10 I have lovely memories. I'm very proud that I got to represent my country 50 times, and yeah, it's nice to look back on that.
Good, strong, powerful boot. It's Elwood then.
What a kick. And it's that man again. Well, they've been looking for a Tony Ward, an Ollie Campbell, a Jackie Kyle. This man has the makings of one such.
Eric Elwood is one of Ireland's most loved number 10s.
That's a very, very solid Irish scrum. That's not a bad first touch from Eric Elwood either.
In the early 1990s, he slotted into the position seamlessly.
I was more nervous having to do my song for my first cap. We got to go to the front of the bus to sing your song, so that was nerve-wracking because I knew it was coming because I was getting jibed all week about it. And I was sitting beside Brad's, and of course Brad's goes, you'd be grand, you're following Pat O'Hara, sure Pat's useless. And then Pat stood up, of course, and I looked at Bradley and I go, because Pat O'Hara is a majestic singer and he sang Moon River brilliantly, and I had to follow Pat O'Hara, which was shambles.
But Elwood's debut on the pitch was anything but, as he inspired Ireland to a victory against Wales.
In the driving seat, Robinson. Yes! The Irish get the try.
And that was followed by another big performance a fortnight later.
Bradley, Elwood drop goal. It's a corker.
Lansdowne Road, full house, England coming to town. We were saying, listen, we've a massive opportunity here to build on what we did 2 weeks ago. But it was another fantastic day of Irish rugby.
It's dropped inside the England 22. His advantage played. Elwood a drop goal. This could seal it. The crowd rise. He's done it again.
I actually think they're the only 2 drop goals that I got in Test rugby, was those 2 against England. Some days they're good, some days they're not, but on that day I got into the pocket and slotted them over.
Well, it's still in play for Ireland. It's Elwood popping it up to Kieran Clark at pace. Back inside the England 22. Ireland to the last. Bradley runs. Slips onto Galway. They'll not stop him. It's Galway, the hero. Ireland goes wild.
To get your opportunity to play at home in front of your home crowd, and then to win like we did against England, and then to be lifted off shoulder high, just a special day.
Fast forward a year. England were out for revenge in London. Not many were giving Ireland a chance.
It's my first experience of the mighty Twickenham, playing England in the backyard. It's okay beating them in Lansdowne Road in '93, but having to go in '94 and say back that up when we knew we were under the pump, we knew that they were going to come after us. But you know what? That Irish resilience and that Irish never say die attitude, we just defended for our lives. In saying that, when we did get the opportunity, we took our chances.
Peter close here, now it's Bradley, Elwood, all the kinds of dummy running. This is Danaher out there to Wallace, Wallace to Gagan, Gagan could score, he's going to make it, it's a try for Gagan.
When you got a kick on the touchlines, people may or may not expect you to get that, because as you know, in those days the crowd are quite close to you and you're literally on the edge. These were my favourite kicks, and we eventually held out to win that game against all the odds.
Straight up into Whitton Road with it, enough. The whistle has gone for the end of the match, and well, the Irish players are simply delirious with delight.
In my 2 years there, in those few short games, life was brilliant. I just embraced it. It's why I did all my training so hard, why I did my extras on the road, why I did my own kicking sessions, my bag of ball. That's what I did. I just wanted to put myself in a position that if the opportunity arose, could I take it? And I was living the dream.
Just in the back there, number 8 is trying to command the new number 8, one of the new caps in the Irish side, and there is a job he does well. He went down to clean it. This is Dean, along the line to Kiernan. Crossan coming into the line. A marvellous run here by Ireland. Mullen, it's going to be a try for Hugo McGann. Across comes Tucolo, and what a brilliant tackle by Tucolo. Dean, England.
In 1985, Ireland's number 10 was different to any previous player who'd worn the legendary shirt.
McCoy, Dean, Mullen, Kiernan, McGill, Crossan is in. What a try!
Paul Dean brought an exciting, all-action attacking style of rugby.
Mick Doyle was the coach, and he said to me, I want to play an open, expansive, wide game, and that's the way he approached it.
Now let it loose. Dean through to Kiernan. Crossan.
And in '85, we caught everybody on the hop, and the ball was going everywhere, and we were scoring tries, and we had a great season.
They're 10 metres outside Scotland's 22. That was the 8-man shove going in. Spillane, the man with the pickup. Ireland's forward still working it over the 22. Now it's Bradley to Dean. Kiernan, Dean on the loop, beautifully out to Mullen. A brilliant score here for England again. He must make it.
All I did was pass the ball, and that created a whole new dynamic for us. We ran everything. It was completely different, and I got great enjoyment out of that.
So Ireland, as they did in the first minute of the first half, are pressing on Scotland's line. The pick-up by Spillane, out to Bradley, the feed inside, a beautiful try for England. Brilliantly executed.
After victories against Scotland and Wales, a triple crown was at stake when England came to Dublin to face Dean and his teammates.
Ireland got up well there, and they tried to take it through on the English to take them in. That was a bit of English tactics there. Out to Dean.
I didn't want to practice kicking, so that kind of goes against you when you're in that half. So fortunately, I had people who could kick alongside me, like Michael Kiernan.
Michael Kiernan then, with perhaps the most important kick of his career. Slotted it well.
It all came down to a dramatic final few minutes.
The line-out was taken, and we came back, and I said to Mick, do you want to kick this? And he said, I'll have a go. And he kicked it over. It happened so quickly and instinctively because he knew that I didn't kick, so he just slot into the position and took it.
Oh, the drama and excitement here at Lansdowne Road. The whistles everywhere. And he blows, and Ireland has done it.
I didn't really come from a rugby background or a sporting background. The first time I was in Lansdowne Road was to play. I was very young at the time, you know, and you tend to think in life there's a lot more coming down the tracks, you know, so this is just today, tomorrow will be better, and so on. So you tend not to focus on what's happening today and not to celebrate it. I regret not enjoying it more on the time, because when you put the jersey on your back, you're representing the country, you're representing your family, you're representing everybody. There's a lot of pressure on people. So it's a fantastic honour.
If Paul Dean wasn't renowned for his kicking, Ireland's current number 10 certainly is. Ireland captain Jonathan Sexton.
Goal kicking for me now, it's something that I'm so used to. You know, the pressure is still there, the expectation is still there. You're still shaking a little bit over your kicks. I had a brilliant start with Ireland when I was goal kicking. I kicked my first 10 international kicks. Everything was plain sailing, it was easy. Then I picked up a quad injury before my first Six Nations. I came back from that and I just wasn't in tune.
But Sexton didn't just have to deal with the pressure of goal kicking. He had a bitter rivalry with Ireland's record-breaking number 10, Ronan O'Gara, who played for a rival club team.
Oh, well, I was feisty on the pitch, he was feisty on the pitch, so any opportunity you get to get a slide dig in or even a cheap shot, it wasn't outrageous stuff. It's what happens.
And in a game between O'Gara's Munster and Sexton's Leinster, tensions came to a head.
It sort of boiled over from the previous game where he had a bit of a go at me and told me what he thought of me, and that was just me sort of saying, I'm here now. And the thing that hurt me the most was it didn't show the respect that I had for him.
That moment in Croke Park, that was a release of frustration, and he subsequently apologised, and that was a sign of a good guy. And I've great time for Johnny. At the start, the relationship was beyond cold. It wasn't even frosty, it was cold.
Now, interesting, just before this penalty, Ronan O'Gara is coming onto the field. He wants to come on, but Jonathan Sexton wants to take the kick. And O'Gara will have to wait.
It was tense at times. They were at each other's throats. Johnny wanted to be the number one. O'Gara wanted to be the number one. And when fire meets fire, you kind of get, you know, the odd firework or two. But it was all for the good of the team.
Oh, come on, says Jonathan Sexton. And a shake of the head and a sad exit from Jonathan Sexton. O'Gara is turning back towards the touchline. He's saying, no, you carry on.
There was a 2-year period where there was a player cam and whoever wasn't starting. It was ridiculous, and there was part of the soap opera that was involved in the both of us. For 10 years you're number one, and then a challenger comes in and wants the jersey and takes the jersey from you in the end, because the minute you lose that flame inside you, it's over.
With Sexton now at the helm, there was still one big goal for Ireland to achieve: an elusive first win against New Zealand. They met in Chicago in 2016. The game staged shortly after the sudden death of a former Ireland teammate.
With Anthony Foley passing only a few weeks previously, it was still very raw. So for everyone wanted to, you know, show how much he meant to us as a team and a nation, and what a way to do it.
Facing the haka before kick-off, Ireland lined up in a formation of 8. Anthony Foley's shirt number.
It's an iconic moment in Irish sport. You know, like, I've got a picture of it up in my office. It's the only picture that I've put on my wall so far. I suppose it put a lot of pressure on us as well, because you don't want to line up like that and then go out and get beaten. It's history, isn't it? No one can ever take that away from you, and no one can ever do it again. So it was very, very special, and it was a great week, and it was the start of probably a great few years.
It took 111 years to break that New Zealand hoodoo, but just 2 years to defeat them again. This time at home.
Stockdale, little chip and cheat. Here goes Stockdale. What a bounce. Oh, it will. Oh, Jacob Stockdale has got over the line. And Stockdale.
To beat the All Blacks for the first time in the Aviva, the atmosphere that day, I have never experienced anything like it. It topped off an incredible year, really.
And what a year 2018 was.
Sexton, he risks the kick. Keith Earls rises high. Fakatawa stayed off him, didn't dare touch him in the air.
In the first game of the Six Nations Championship against France, deep in injury time, an unforgettable moment for Johnny Sexton.
It was years of preparation that allowed us to keep the ball for that long, to get us into the position to get the drop goal. The minute I hit it, I knew it had a great chance, and if it didn't go over, I was going to be shocked.
Sexton waits, here it comes. It looks good. He likes it. Right along.
You do some strange things in these moments, but I started running backwards, and the reason was to look at the big screen. The pylon at the end is the bit that I remember the most, and the best feeling that I think I've ever had in a rugby pitch.
Over and above his ability as a player, you know, the drive off the field for everyone, and to not leave any stone unturned in that quest to win a Grand Slam was really, really important for us as a squad.
Sexton inspired wins against Italy and then Wales.
The referee playing advantage to Ireland to the penalty. Sexton whips it away. Oh, Jacob Stockdale's in the corner. What a pass for the try.
A victory against Scotland followed, and that set up a Grand Slam decider against the old enemy, England.
And Ireland make good ground as well. Oh, here goes Stockdale, and Stockdale chasing down his own chip. How does it bounce on? Stockdale can't quite gather. Now he can!
It was a lifetime work, really, for some of us. It was huge. It was everything that we'd wanted over the years, and to do it on St. Patrick's Day in Twickenham was even more special. It felt like half the stadium was Irish. It was an incredible day. It's amazing the sort of relationship that exists between different generations just based on having worn the number 10 jersey. You know the history that goes into it, and you want to put it in a better place when you pass it on to the next person. It's going to come to an end sooner rather than later. At the moment, I'm just trying to concentrate on every game that I do get a chance to wear it, making the most of it, enjoying it, and trying to write another little bit of the story. So it's an incredible jersey to be part of the club as such, and hopefully a few more days in it yet.